For a long time, I thought self control was just about being man enough to say no. I thought it was this internal muscle that I just hadn't worked out enough at the gym. But the truth is, I've spent years losing the same battle over and over again. For me, it's always been the kitchen and the scale. I've been, good for a week, maybe even a month, and then I would just slip. It's that feeling of, looking at a plate of food or a couch when you know that you should be at the gym and it feels like your character is completely out of stamina. If you ever played Elden Ring, you know that moment when you're facing a boss like Margit or Melania, you're dodging and you're trying to dodge all of the attacks and you're getting hits in, but then you see it, that stamina bar hits zero. Your character just stands there, unable to roll, unable to defend, and you just have to watch as the hits come in. That's exactly how my life felt. I was trying to play a game of life on an empty stamina bar, wondering why I couldn't just willpower my way through the boss fights of my daily habits, right? I realized recently that I've been looking at self control all wrong. I thought it was a restriction, but I'm actually learning it's a resource. Maybe you relate to that. Maybe for you, it's not food. Maybe it's the phone, maybe it's your temper, or a habit you saw that you would quit 6 months ago. But we live in a world that tells us to follow our heart and to do what feels good. But following my heart is exactly what got me stuck in the cycle of feeling heavy, tired. And honestly, I'm ashamed that it took me that long. Now, I started looking into what the Bible actually says about this, not as a scholar, but just as someone who's tired of losing, right? And what I found isn't a list of rules to make your life boring, it's actually a skill tree for freedom. Now, the first thing that I realized is that the world views self control as a cage, but the Bible views it as a city wall. In Proverbs 25, verse 8, it says, "A man without self control is like a city broken in and left without walls." Think about that. An open world game, if your base has no walls, any low level mob can just wander in and wreck all of your progress, right? And that's what happens when we don't have discipline. We aren't free. We aren't free to eat whatever or do whatever. We're actually just defenseless. Our peace, our focus, and our health are constantly being raided by our own impulses. Now, I used to think that I was being kind to myself by giving into a craving, but I was actually just tearing down my own defenses. So, how does this actually show up in life? Now, for me, it's the realization that my diet isn't just about the number on the scale, it's about who is sitting in the driver's seat. When I can't say no to a late night snack or I skip the gym for the third day in a row, I'm letting my impulses take the controller. It's like having your stick drift on your controller. You're trying to move forward, but your character keeps on going sideways. The how of self control isn't about just white knuckling it, it's about realizing that we're actually in a spiritual battle for our own attention and energy. The big picture here is that self control is a fruit of the Spirit, not a fruit of your own effort. In Galatians 5, verse 22 to 23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self control. Against such things there is no law." Now, I used to think that and read and think that I used to read that and think that I had to produce those things by myself. But You don't grow fruit by shouting at a tree, you grow it by staying connected to the roots. I'm learning that when I'm struggling the most with my diet or my consistency, it's usually because I've stopped checking in with God and started trying to do the solo mission. I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking like, I've tried the gym, I've tried diets, I've tried reading the Bible. I just don't have the discipline. Some guys are born with it, and I'm just not one of those. Now that's exactly how I feel when I stand in front of the mirror. But here's the truth. Self-control is a stat that you can level up. Nobody starts New Game Plus with maxed out attributes. You start at level 1. You take the small wins, you choose the salad ones, you go to the gym 15 minutes instead of an hour. You don't need a massive stamina bar today, you just need enough to make one successful dodge. Now the Bible also tells us in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7, "For God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Now this changes everything. If I am a follower of Christ, I already have the self-control perk unlocked. It's already in my inventory. I just have to actually equip it. I've spent so much time praying for God to take away my cravings or make me want to work out. But God doesn't usually play the game for us. He gives us the strength to hold the controller. He gives us the power. But we have to be the ones to press the buttons. Now I'm still figuring this out, right? I still have days where I fail. I still have days where I look at the gym bag and I decide that, the couch looks better. But the difference now is that I don't see those failures as game over, right? In a game like Elden Ring, death isn't the end. It's how you learn the patterns. So every time I fail in my diet, I'm learning the pattern of my own weakness. I'm learning where my walls are broken, and I'm asking God to help me rebuild them. Now, if you're stuck or if you feel your stamina bar is permanently empty, I want you to know that you aren't the only one. I'm right here with you in the grind. We aren't trying to become perfect, right? We're not trying to become the perfect fitness influencers or theologians, right? We're just trying to be men who are actually in control of ourselves so we can be the men of our families and our communities. A man who can't control himself can't protect anyone else. So here's the quest for this week. Pick one thing. Don't try to overhaul your entire life at once. That's how you burn out your stamina bar, right? Pick one small area where you've been letting the walls crumble. Maybe it's the first 30 minutes of your day, or what you eat for lunch, or how much time you spend scrolling on your phone. So take that one territory back. Equip the spirit of power that God has already given you, and just try to win one small encounter every day. I'm realizing that the more I say no to my impulses, the more I'm able to say yes to my purpose. It's not about restriction, it's about preparation. We're leveling up for something bigger than just looking good in a t-shirt. We're becoming men who are solid, men who are reliable, and men who are led by the Spirit rather than their stomachs. I'm going to keep documenting this journey, the wins, the losses, and that you're tired of input lag of your own life and you want to start rebuilding those walls. Stay with me. We're figuring out this together, one day at a time, one rep at a time. Actually talk more about how to find your initial direction when you feel completely lost in another video, and I think that's where you should head next, right? Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep moving forward. And I'll see you in the next one.